brother was having a heart problem that he was born with. And then the parents said to him, you cannot be angry at him anymore because he has that congenital problem. But no one talked about it. The parents didn't talk about it, but he was not allowed to be angry.
I'm Jonathan Stalick. I'm a homeopath, 40 years in practice, I think, roughly, in Brighton in the UK.
And I'm Markus Kuntisch. I'm from Kandern in southern Germany. I'm a homeopath and general practitioner, and I'm in clinic since 36 years now.
Wow.
Together we've studied at the university.
And you've been discussing something about some seminar you did, or?
Yeah, he invited me to give another presentation in this region, Brighton, next year in June. And his wish was to talk more about new experience with bird remedies. I wrote a book about it in 2018, I think, and working on a second edition, and have some new insights on new bird groups, for example, the crows and the vultures, and that's what they want to hear, I think.
Yeah, Marcus is the bird man.
I can tell. Are the birds more complicated than plants?
I won't say so. Plants, you often have the theme of confusion, and it's not so clear. It's a bit foggy, the themes, many different aspects. And in birds, it's mostly the problem. You have to feel obliged to care for somebody or do worldly business, and to strive for spirituality in a way. As you're earthborn, but you're earthbound, but you strive for the sky. If you're airborne and striving for freedom from these obligations. So you have the lanternite qualities, both the silica series qualities and iron series qualities. And it's a very, very common theme in our daily society.
There's a lot of skeletal symptoms, are there? There's a lot of skeletal symptoms.
Yeah, the focus of the pathology is mostly the neck problems and the chest. We have the scapula, two wings, and our lungs are two wings, and they are encaged in the rib cage. So the feeling of the bird, you cannot breathe really, and you want to be free. Yeah? The obligations for family or job feels like you cannot breathe deeply anymore, and you want to become free and open, and that's.
So there are often respiratory problems as well.
Respiratory problems, thyroid problems, neck problems, a lot of stiffness, shoulder problems. For example, in our body we have a part of the scapula which is called the beak of the raven, where the tendon of the biceps muscle insert. And when you have an inflammation at that part, it's often a good indication for the family of the crows. Yeah?
And how did you come up, maybe like a broad question, but how did you come up with the idea, to translate the birds, as a remedy, because you has.
It was not my idea. It was mainly the work of Jonathan Shaw and some others.
Okay.
And he wrote a book about in the 90s, collect all the material. And though I read the books, I couldn't prescribe it until a patient came, which I couldn't help with the remedy, as I knew she had a kind of autoimmune disease, and she always talked about a stabbing pain and made always this gesture, which you see in the raptors, like the falcons and eagles, and the remedy which helped her was the kind of sparrow, the
Acer domesticus.
The accipiter.
Oh, right. Oh yes, yeah.
A
sparrowhawk.
Sparrowhawk, exactly.
Sparrowhawk, yeah.
It's a very fast bird. The human eye is too slow to follow his motions. And it helped her to get out of this immune disease.
And maybe from a totally different kind of category, but how is homeopathy treated in each of your country? It's different, but what's the approach in your?
Well, you have to realise that Germany is where homeopathy began, so they have maybe a special connection. Although I think things are changing, maybe in Germany even. Whereas in Britain, we have a long history of homeopathy, but it's been it's kind of also despised. It's also pushed aside. The National Health Service has banned all homeopathy now in hospitals, and doctors cannot prescribe on the NHS, on the National Health.
I see.
You have to be private now too. So it's I don't know if it's the same in Germany. Similar. Yeah. But you have the Heilpraktikers, don't you? That's a little different.
Germany is just the home country of homeopathy, as you can say, as Hahnemann first described it there, prescribed it. And you can be a lay person, you're a Heilpraktiker, you can be a homeopath. And as a doctor, you have to do a specialization as a general practitioner or a gynecologist. And then you make an additional course for homeopathy. And in most of the federal states in Germany, it's not possible right now.
Yeah.
So it's the official doctors, they don't like it because in a way they feel it cures, but they say it's nothing. It's not. It's just energy.
Yeah.
So
I see.
it's a bit a kind of strange situation.
In England, the good thing is that the laws are very loose around lay practitioners. So, I'm a lay practitioner, I'm not a doctor like you, but I can practice freely. The government decided not to get involved. People are in charge of their own health a little bit, and they can go to who they want. And as long as we're not doing damage, then that's
all right.
It's okay. So we have a very big lay practitioner community in the UK.
Okay.
So that's kind of
And if you ask the people, if you make a survey about, I think 50 to 60% they are in favor of it. They want it.
Yes.
But National Health Service doesn't really support it. There are just a few insurances which pay for it.
Yeah.
So it's really most of the doctors who do homeopathy work in private practice. Only very few work with the National Health Service.
Yeah.
So maybe the last question. So why people actually come to homeopath, what they are searching for, usually, why they choose homeopathy rather than regular medicine?
Can I say something? Okay, so I think people are, we grow up with this very mechanistic view of health, it's treated like a car, basically. So things go wrong, and then this is the normal way. And I think people are catching on that people want a more natural and a more holistic approach to health that integrates mind and the body and has more of a sort of maybe even a spiritual aspect. People are looking for more than just nuts and bolts. They don't want to be treated like a car. I mean, yes, it can be useful, but I think a lot of people, this is what I find, people come to me because they want an approach that honours all of them, the whole of them, so they can maybe move forwards in their lives. It's not just about physical things, but also about your life, your whole life, and your relationships and your job, and
more complex.
Yes, exactly.
Well, in universal medicine, you're treated mostly in parts. You're not treated as a whole human being. And one thing is, a lot of, especially young families with children, they want to have a kind of soft medicine, which is not has so many side effects. And a lot of patients also come, they are not helped by the regular doctors. They have chronic problems which are only suppressed by medication, and they get worse and worse. And then finally they want to solve the really deep problems. And in homeopathy, the beauty is you have the connection with the traumas, and you can really heal. It's the beauty in it.
Yeah.
With the conventional medicine, often want to diagnose. In other words, they like to have labels for things, and anything that falls in between those labels or it doesn't quite fit, then they don't know how to handle this. So then that's where homeopaths come in, because we don't always need diagnosis can be useful, but it's not absolutely essential.
Yeah.
So then we can work with that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's generally what I was thinking about.
Yeah, you were.
Good.
Thank you so much, then.
I'm Doug Brown, and I come from Portland, Oregon, in the Pacific Northwest of the United States.
Okay. And how long you've been doing homeopathy?
Yeah, I've been a homeopath since 1999 or 2000, so about 27 years.
Okay. And for example, how can you describe your fascination with like a homeopathy?
Well, I happen to believe that it's a privilege to do homeopathy because I actually feel like I'm one of the luckiest people in the world with this job, with this work. Because when we do homeopathy, if we do it well and we do it right, and we really want to get to the depth of people's problems, we understand them more deeply than any other method of healing. And so we get to know people better than really anybody else gets to know other people. And when you get to know other people better, you end up knowing yourself better. And you also, because we're connecting our patients with remedies from the world and the universe, which have their own consciousness, we're really getting to know aspects of the planet, aspects of our Mother Earth, which we wouldn't otherwise get to know. So we're really getting to know aspects of Mother Earth, of Anima Mundi, the spirit of the world, as these spirits of the world speak through our patients, through our human friends. So we become more embedded in the world and more awake to the energies and consciousness of everything around us.
And how like homeopathy has changed your, life throughout your career?
It's changed it radically. I think I've become a more conscious human being. I think I've become more alert and aware of the energies around me. Become more appreciative of the blessings of life. More sensitive and empathic to others. I have a much greater sense of meaning. I think that in general in our society we are immersed in a paradigm which deadens our sense of what it means to be alive. It creates the materialist paradigm separates us from the world and gives us the illusion that we're alone in a dead world. And when we become homeopaths, every day we're reawakened to the truth that everything around us is alive and conscious. So that reanimates the world for us.
Wow.
So I owe a lot to homeopathy.
Yeah, that seems like you really are like passionate about the homeopathy.
I can't imagine not doing it. I can't imagine not being a homeopath.
Do you think about like patients, that they should have like a freedom of choice of like when it comes to choosing your way of methods of like treatment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that question gets to the heart of what it means to be human. As human beings, we are endowed with the ability to make choices for ourselves, whether to act from a place of pure instinct or of coercion, or to act from a place of reason and will and autonomy. So, and having autonomy over our body, over our way of life is such an important part of what it means to be human, that if we take that away, we're really taking away people's humanity.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's fundamental. It's fundamental to keeping our humanity. And in a world where political systems and technology threatens that, we have to be ever more vigilant in protecting our right to choose.
And for yourself, do you have you ever had like any problems in terms of law, or you've been fine
in
without.
terms of the law.
Yeah.
I personally have not. I've been very fortunate, one, because I have a medical license as a nurse practitioner in Oregon, so I have the legal right to practice, and also because I work in my own private clinic, my own private practice, I have a certain freedom there.
Okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My name is Martin Jakob, and I'm coming from Germany, out of the south, near the Austrian border.
And how long you've been doing homeopathy?
It's now 30 years. I'm 30 years in my practice now.
Okay. And you've been doing also mostly homeopathy?
Only homeopathy.
Only homeopathy.
Only homeopathy, yeah.
And can you tell me maybe like what is like the biggest like fascination for you in homeopathy? Why you do it? You know?
Because I think you really can heal you really can heal with it, yeah, and you can bring people really to flower. They really get free of their problem, from their dis-ease. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Disease is a good word for it. Dis-ease, yeah? You make it easy again, and that is beautiful.
And in your experience, have you noticed like changes since you started the approach to homeopathy? Can you tell me a little bit as you see it?
I start very much with the classical way, and with repertorization, and I was doing a lot of the miasmatic way. But then in '96, in the end of the '90s, I met Jan Scholten, and with Jan Scholten, I really make in my opinion, a big steps forward. I think for me, how I work or how I think it's the best way to do homeopathy. For me, how I build, how I mentally and emotionally build. So I prefer his way of thinking, and I see myself gradually getting better and better in a way
And
of homeopathy, of healing with homeopathy.
like how the provings like has influenced your life, like maybe like did it?
I think the provings, for me, the provings are mostly that I get a first idea or from a remedy what it can do and what it helps if we speak about it in a group, especially when Jan Scholten is with us and we talk about the proving. And the proving gives us the first idea what the remedy can do for a person, for a personality, and also what is interesting where it is in the system, when it is a plant remedy, and most in the last 10-15 years we do most of plant remedies. We can see where it is in the structure, in the map of the plants. This is very interesting for me.
And do you think how do you approach like is it very important or like is it less important? The importance of choice when it comes to choosing the method of treatment for a person. How do you see it for people? The importance, for a regular person like patients to choose. Because in Germany, do you have like any kind of like problems like when it comes to choosing the homeopathy as a treatment, or
you do not have a problem, but you pay it by yourself. But you are free to choose which kind of treatment you want.
So do you think it's important for like a human being to have like a
you should really to be free to choose your way of how you want to be treated. If you want to treat it by the homeopathic way or whatever.
I know. Maybe it seems for us like very logical, but for the government right now,
it's difficult for them.
Yeah.
I think it's a human right, and we should be free to choose which way we want to be treated. It's very important, I think. It's part
I think so.
freedom, and it's, I think, my opinion, should be. To me, it is given by law.
To you, it's like, you know, normal thing, right? Yeah.
So my name is Thomas Vibo, and I'm from Slovakia.
And how long you've been doing like homeopathy?
I'm practicing homeopathy around, I think it's 12 or 13 years already.
And you are as well. You finished medicine.
No, I'm not a medical doctor. My first education was a different. I was studying in a university in some economics, but from the beginning I knew that I want to do homeopathy. So as soon as I finished the university studies and I started to have a work in a big company, I started to study homeopathy for 4 years. And after 4 years I was working as an assistant of a doctor, and then I was opening my own practice afterwards, and later even my own school.
Oh, school.
Yeah.
Wow. So and you know, you said that that it was clear for you that you would like to do homeopathy.
Yeah.
Can you explain like how did you
Sure.
came up?
You know, from very early childhood, or I wouldn't say childhood, but when I was a teenager, I really liked psychology and read books about the psychology, and I was reading a lot. And I really felt, I would say that I felt that always when you have some kind of complaint, physical complaint, it's somehow connected with your mind. So, and it happened that once I fell sick when I was a teenager. I fell sick. I was in a cottage with friends, and I had a high fever. And I knew that it's over for me. Like the whole trip is done because I had a high fever. I was just lying in bed, and in that time there was a homeopath, and she gave me a remedy. And within 2 hours, I get up from the bed, and I was okay. And I was just thinking, like, how is that possible? I always, when I'm sick, I know it takes 1 week till I get be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was starting to ask her, and she was explaining me something about the homeopathy. And then I decided to read some book. And when I read that book, and I saw this connection that you always need to take into consideration your mind, your mental state, when you want to treat when you want to treat some chronic illness. And I said, wow, this looks like a very deep medicine. I would like to do that. So I knew from that time that okay, this is my path, and I want to do that.
And so you said that previously you've been like, let's say 2 weeks. That was like your regular time when you were ill.
No, like when I had some kind of flu or something,
Mm-hmm.
it's for 1 week till I get be okay, till I'm cured. But you know, because in homeopathy, when you find a good remedy for acute illness, when you find a very good one, you can be okay within few hours even.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like you know that so that has changed. Like since you started to practice homeopathy, did you as well like test a lot on yourself?
Of course, I test a lot of medicines all the time, and but mostly I don't. When I have clients and patients, I don't treat the acute illnesses, so because I don't have time for that. But I do mostly I treat the chronic illnesses, and of course then the period till you get free of your complaints is longer. But you can cure the diseases that are mostly considered in a classical way of thinking in classical medicine as uncurable. So
Yeah. So you are like as well using the homeopathy for like a more complex.
yes, mostly yes.
And how is maybe another type of aspect? How is the like homeopathy in Slovakia?
You know, I am not sure whether I have a good overview, because I know from my students and also from my colleagues that they are struggling to get the clients, to get the patients, because from part of the society is not really accepted. You know, because when we look at it, we can't really explain how homeopathy works, and I never go to this discussion with the people to explain them how it works. What I can show you is that it works based on the cured cases. So I can show you cases. I can show you people who had a chronic illness before, and they were examined by the doctors, and afterwards they are free of the complaints. So this is what I can. This is for me. This is the proof, not the explanation how it works, but that you have a proof because they are cured. But what I wanted to say is that there is, of course, a lot of people who are struggling or who don't like the homeopathy because they have some kind of opinion that it can't work. But you know, when people get sick, the classical way of classical medicine can't help them. They are trying to find anything, even if they don't believe in it.
Yeah.
So I am happy because I have a lot of clients. I don't struggle with it. I have a waiting list for 6-7 weeks. So and I live in Bratislava, in capital, and you see in the capitals people are mostly more open. So, but I have a lot of clients from abroad, from Poland also. So
You're doing as well the online?
yeah, a lot of online consultation. I think now 80% of my consultations are online.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know that from Poland I have maybe half of the clients I have from Poland.
Yeah?
Hello, I'm Alex Leupen, and I'm one of the 7 colleagues from Jan Scholten. We work in a center here in Utrecht, and I'm coming from Holland. We live in a little village here in the countryside, and I'm a homeopathic doctor for 36 years.
Oh, wow! You already said answered my second question. When did you start? Like you start when you were doing already some other medicine, or this is your main? Is homeopathy your main practice?
Yes, I became a doctor in 1990, so that's 36 years ago. And I started immediately as a homeopathic doctor because I wanted to do homeopathy. So I thought it's no use to first start as a general practitioner or a doctor in a hospital, because I wanted to do homeopathy. And I've looked around and I saw the practice of Jan Scholten, and I phoned him and asked, can I work with you and that you teach me? So I'm one of his first students.
Oh.
So every patient I saw, I discussed with him. So yes, he's my great inspirator.
And has a lot of change since the beginning when you were his student, and now?
Yes, because we started, then we had 300, 500 remedies, and then Jan started to write books. So first about the periodic system, they had several books, homeopathy and the elements, homeopathy and the minerals, books about lanthanides, books about plants, and every time the knowledge improved. So now we have 5,000 remedies.
Yeah, that's a big change.
It's a big change.
Yeah.
And the system to look for it, because otherwise it would be a wild guess.
But I was always wondering how, maybe how did he came up with the idea that there is the theory of elements and theory of plants. Do you know how did he came up with the idea? Did you ever ask him that, or were you curious?
Yes, I'm curious. I think many people think that also, that Jan is a genius. Like Einstein, like Hahnemann. I think Hahnemann was also a genius. And I think there are some geniuses once in 100 years, and they have a brain. You and I can't imagine what's going on in his brain. It can be that I say hello to him Friday, and then I see him Monday, 2 days later, and then he has already a complete new theory or concept, because I think there's also some inspiration from...
I see. Yeah, from whoever is above us,
Yes, we call it sometimes the 0 point field. There is the information is everywhere, but you have to
absorb it,
and then spread it to the world. Yes.
And do you have something for as a homeopath? Do you have something that you are working on, like maybe some provings, how the provings change your perspective? Maybe that kind of question, general.
Yes, I do not a lot of proofings because I'm a very sensitive person, so I get all the symptoms, physical symptoms from proofing, and it's not very nice. So I don't like to do proofings for myself. What I said, we had a discussion about germanium, and I do a lot of homeopathy, but also orthomolecular with supplements.
Uh-huh.
That's my sport.
Okay.
To combine, and I do a lot of blood tests. So it's I've got my own combination, not only homeopathy.
And maybe from another aspect, it's like how is the homeopathy treated here in Netherlands?
From the States, you mean?
Yes, from the state, and how the people are generally treating it, like, you know.
I think it's in all countries in Europe the same. The official regular world is not very pro homeopathy. The politics not. But we manage. We do our own stuff, and you have to stay under the radar. So we have a lot of patients because they can find us, but we are not very shouting out about homeopathy.
Yeah, I ask because my mom, for example, in Poland, she has kind of like right now, after like, you know, all this time, had to actually leave her regular medicine practice and, you know, just become a homeopath, like, you know, as a without being the regular doctor.
I understand.
You know, and I was curious, like, you know, did you ever had like that kind of here in Netherlands is different?
No, we are allowed as doctors to practice homeopathy. So that's good.
Yeah.
But it's not being stimulated from the government or we do it on our own way. Yes. We have our own education, our own institutions. Yes.
And maybe last question. Why do you think people, you know, choose homeopathy and comes to a homeopathy doctor?
First of all, because they have complaints and they are not being helped by regular treatment, and many times because they look for a doctor who has time, patience, empathy.
Yeah.
It's a big problem now.
Yes,
many
true.
regular doctors in Holland have 8 minutes for the patients. That's
not enough.
Not enough, and they are hasty and they are irritated when the patient has 2 complaints. No, you have 2 complaints. It's not allowed. You have. And we have time. We have hours of time, and we can hear. And
exactly.
People feel comfortable with us.
Not so robotic.
Yeah, not so robotic. Exactly.